Okay, so this guide is probably just a little late considering that Pokemon Sun and Moon has been out for 3 months already, but I do want to make it clear that this is the best way of maxing out a Pokemon's happiness in Pokemon Sun and Moon. Now, I already did a happiness guide back when the game first came out, but I didn't really talk about the fastest method. I just talked about all the ways you can kind of like piece together Pokemon's happiness, but the best way of doing it is EV reducing berries, and you can find them right here. So what you want to do is go to Malaya City and then just go to the west, and then you'll find this berry tree on the route. I believe it's Route 13, and that's kind of all that there is to it. But now we're going to utilize something new in the Pokepelago skip. So the reason why I didn't put this in my original guide is that I didn't have a lot of these EV reducing berries, and while they are very powerful, they did feel valuable at the time. But then all you have to do is go to your Pokepelago and then max out your berry fields, and then your EV reducingness is going to be absolutely insane. As you can see, each of my fields have a lot of them, and I'm harvesting 14 berries at a time. So even if you don't have any EV reducing berries currently, you can just go to that tree, plant them all, and then do the Pokepelago skip, and you're good to go. Now, if you don't have enough beans to go and max out your berry fields, you can use the Pokepelago skip to also go and get a ton of beans. So then you just harvest, plant, and you're good to go right there. Now, how does one perform the Pokepelago skip is what people might be asking. Even though I've done a video on it, it seems that a lot of people aren't really sure about it. Now, to make the skip happen, there's just something magical about changing the date on your DS clock, but it has to be a specific date. That if you just go and change the time to try to skip the day ahead, you're not going to get any results with the Pokepelago, and then you're going to be locked out of time-based events in your DS. So that's going to be something that you have to worry about. But what you need to do is you need to change the date to January 31st, 2017, and then you also need to set the time to 23:59 or 23:58. That way you have enough time to get into your game and then have the clock roll over inside of your game. And then when you go to the Pokepelago after it becomes February 1st, then the Pokepelago will have fully maxed out everything that it was doing, and then that's just going to make it to where all of your berries grow, your Pokemon complete all of their training missions, and then they can also come back from events, and also the berry fields or your Isle of Beans will refresh as well. Now, the reason why you didn't see me do it right there is because this works. It 100% works, guaranteed. I've been doing it in streams even like 2 days ago. So I just don't want to lock myself out of time-based events because what happens is you cannot use the Festival Plaza. So if you want to do level ups through the Festival Plaza, or if you want to do anything based on the Festival Plaza, you're going to be locked out from anywhere, I believe it's like 36 to 48 hours. So it's like a day and a half to 2 days is how long your time features will not work in game. So make sure you have like everything done, that you don't have anything that you have to worry about in the Festival Plaza, and then you're going to be good to go. Then after that, all you have to do is harvest your berries and then feed them to your Pokemon, and here's what it will look like. So you just kind of scroll down, go to one of these berries. So it's the Kelpsie, Pomeg, Qualot, any of the berries that make a Pokemon more friendly but lower its base stat. That's kind of all that there is to it. So I'm going to take one like lowers base defense. I'm going to give it to Lunala. So what it says is Lunala adores you if it's already maxed out, but its stat will fall if it's already been there. So if you drop a stat down to nothing, it will say that it has no effect. Also, apparently I have like a lot of stray defense EVs. So what this is effectively doing is that it's tampering with EVs, and as you can see, it says it won't have any effect. So pretty much all you have to do is the same thing with any Pokemon that you want to max out its friendship, that it says Turtle became more friendly, but its defense can't go any lower. So it'll change from that, and then it'll eventually say it will have no effect when that Pokemon's happiness is maxed out. Now, you could be here for a while grinding, but overall, if you can get several hundred berries in the course of 2 minutes from the Pokepelago skip, and they just max A like this, then a Pokemon's friendship will be maxed out pretty quickly. It takes less than 5 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually like less than 3 minutes. Okay, actually, it takes about a minute. As you can see, it won't have any effect, and we used about 40 something berries. Turtwig did gain some levels from killing a Crabrawler that was in front of the berry tree pile, so that actually gave me some happiness right there. So probably 50 berries to max happiness, or a number around that, and that's all that there is to it. So it doesn't take any time at all, and you're getting hundreds of berries per harvest, so there's really no issue behind that at all. Now, happiness is usable for two things in Pokemon: making certain Pokemon evolve, and also getting the most damage out of using Return. So as you can see right here, this is the list of all the Pokemon that evolved through happiness. Mostly it's just baby Pokemon, but there's also some very useful competitive Pokemon as well, like the Lopunny, like the Lucario, and also some of them do have some other restrictions as well, that if you evolve an Eevee with max happiness in the daytime, that's how you get Espeon, and at nighttime it's going to be the Umbreon. So depending on what Pokemon you want, you can kind of use that. Having an Alolan Persian requires max happiness, and even getting a Crobat or a Blissey. So quite a few competitive Pokemon as well, and also if you want to just get the most damage on your return, it actually works really well for Pokemon like Lopunny, or anything that's just a normal type physical attacker that wants a solid stab hit. That's kind of how happiness works. Now I do want to clarify one other thing. Happiness is not affection. I get this all the time, like in my original happiness guide, people say, oh, what about if you just go into the Pokemon Me or Pokemon Refresh? That's how I max out Pokemon's happiness super fast. No, they are absolutely not the same things, and people that say that, they have no idea what they're talking about. A lot of people were saying that they were maxing out Type Null's affection in the Pokemon Refresh, and that's how they were able to get a Silvally. That is absolutely false. The only two things that benefit you from affection are going to be 20% more experience in Pokemon battles and getting a Sylveon. So Eevee with affection and a fairy move is how you get a Sylveon, but it doesn't have anything to do with Espeon or Umbreon because that's going to be happiness. Now, I think it's just because the Pokemon Company did it in a really confusing way, or Game Freak did it in a really confusing way. As you can see, there's hearts here for the affection. And the affection looks like happiness or friendliness or something like that, so it did confuse a lot of people, but they are two very different things, and that's kind of all there is to do it, all there is about it. And if you want to get an Eevee into a Sylveon really quickly, all you have to do is feed it one Rainbow Pokebean, because that's going to give you 3 affection, and you only need 2 affection to do it. So that was an Eevee, and I wanted Sylveon, boom. I do that, I give it a fairy move, and then I level it up. And that's how you go and grab yourself a Sylveon. So hopefully, even though this guide is super late, it might have clarified some things. Mostly because of the Pokepelago. That the Pokepelago skip makes the Eevee berries super worthwhile. That before then, it was kind of questionable, and that if you needed it in like that day, like say you needed to max out Pokemon's happiness that day for like an online competition, or if you wanted to like battle with it immediately and you didn't have the berries, well, you had to wait at least 24 or 48 hours to get enough berries to then get your berry farm going. So that was just kind of like you have to level up, you have to walk with your Pokemon, you can use all the other happiness things. So if you want to see the other ways of maxing out Pokemon's happiness, there'll be a link to the guide below. Same for the Pokepelago skip. But overall, that's how you do it. So if you guys enjoyed the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching. But yeah, we can see the progress on these. Ooh, I guess since Gumi is a pseudo legendary, it has a slower leveling rate than I anticipated. Yep, that's Tapu Lele. It's up to level 76. It gained 2 levels right there. Still looking pretty fly right there. Oh my goodness. So 14,000 next level. I don't know the individual per level gains. I could probably find a chart if I wanted to. Yeah. I did not bottle cap the Tapu Lele. That's why we're getting it to level 100. Therefore, I can bottle cap the Tapu Lele. So there we go. Got shiny type Null after 50 soft resets. That's not a lot. Man, it's amazing how fast this gives experience by comparison. Also, I feel like I'm getting in a pretty quick rhythm with this. You know, we're actually able to kind of get these each Pokepelago round in about 3-ish minutes, I'd imagine. Just like the full cycle. Gold bottle caps are pretty rare. So you just gotta go, you just sweep that from left to right, boom, nailed it, then you just boom, like that. See how fast that is, guys? See how good I am with this Pokepelago? It's smooth. I just make one swiping motion and tap a couple times, done. And now we wait. Actually, the game loading feels a little better today than it has in the past, I think. As I say, as it takes like 10 years to load. Yeah, never mind. I was like, oh, that didn't seem so bad. Nah, it's still taking a while. Do I prefer single or double battles? I have no preference at this stage of my Pokemon playing. See, like, if it booted up faster, like, that would, like, if everything was instant, if everything had an immediate feedback response, I'd be able to get this done in, like, half the time. But everything has to take time to load. Everything is just so clunky. If this played like Melee, I'd be able to have it done already. If Moan didn't have this extra text dialogue to where you have to take the Pokemon out and put them back in, I'd be done. Hydration is key though, guys. Never forget that in your entire life, that hydration is key. I like doubles only because I get wrecked in singles. See, I like singles because I can just be a filth player in singles. You know, you just run a lot of evasion and regenerator, and you can get away with that in singles. It's a lot harder to get away with that in doubles.